Well, good morning to everyone. I am so glad to be here and connecting with all of you once again. It's Saturday morning. It's a beautiful morning here in Beaufort, Georgia. And I want to welcome you to another time of coffee, ideas, and connecting with me, Alejandro. Um, And for all of you coffee drinkers, let's just have a little bit of coffee before we dive into today's um, lesson. Mm, so good. A great cup of coffee in the morning. And the lesson for today is titled, Is Motivation Enough? Is motivation enough? And I know that um, as a speaker, coach, trainer, the topic of motivation is, is pretty much on a daily basis. Because it's a great topic. To talk about. It's a great topic. To share with others. Um, and the reason that I wanted to share this is because this past week I had a chance, to correspond with someone that I know. Um, this person lives in a different state, and we met for the very first time. I think it was like a year or a little over a year ago. We both attended a personal growth workshop in Chicago, and that was the place where we met for the very first time. And um, and then after that, we kept um, connecting with each other through social media. And this past week, I got uh, a note or a message, from her, and telling me, things, that have been going on in her life. And sometimes we tend to go through challenging patches in our life's journey. And this person is, I believe that she is currently going through um, a difficult time, a time of challenges, a time where there's no clarity as to what is the next step, or what are the next few steps, that we need to take in order to see more clearly the light at the end of the tunnel. You see, sometimes, when we are in the tunnel and everything is dark all around us, and we don't see our way, it gets a little bit uncertain. It gets a little bit scary sometimes, until we begin to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Then one of the things that I mentioned to her is that when we get into these kinds of situations, a very powerful thing to do is to find an excellent coach, and to have that relationship with a coach, because a coach can help you um, to regain certainty, perhaps certainty in yourself, certainty in your own abilities, in your own skills, and certainty in what is the next step that you need to take. And um, and so she may consider uh, um, looking, for coaching, and get into that coachee relationship, which is a very powerful relationship, is a very strong relationship, but it is a very um, it's a good way to keep moving ahead in your life and to get really unstuck. If you feel that you're stuck, you're looking around and you don't see a way out, a coach, can help you to find that door, that way out of your current situation and get you moving again. But the other thing that I said to her is, I said, on Saturday morning, I want to share information. I want to share a little bit about motivation, because one of the things that she said to me is that she was lacking the motivation to do things, and to do things that I know that she likes to do, that she has a level of passion for these things, but she was lacking motivation. Motivation was not there. And first of all, let's look at what the dictionary says about what motivation is. The definition of motivation, and it is the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. It is the desire that you may have, the willingness that you may have to do something. And most people, we sometimes, motivation is like a roller coaster. Sometimes we are at the peak, at the top, and we just feel that we're conquering the world. That we have motivation that is just coming out of our ears, and we want to share that feeling that we have of feeling right, feeling upbeat, feeling pumped, to do whatever it is that we need to do to get us to that next level. And we all experience that. I'm sure I have. I'm sure that you have. Especially, there's one thing. Sometimes, we go to events that really help us augment our level of motivation that we experience. For instance, some of you, perhaps most of you, know that I am a speaker, coach, and trainer certified through the John Maxwell team. Now, the John Maxwell team is an organization, and we have, and they have 2 meetings every year, one in the February-March time frame, and the other one in August, in Orlando, at the biggest Marriott hotel and resort in the whole world. It's a massive, it's a huge hotel, huge rooms. Because they are close to 2,000 or over 2,000 people, coaches attending this meeting, people who are attending for the very first time in order to get certified, and alumni, people who are already certified, who re-audit the event and their different sessions, and people in the mentorship program, people at the club level. And so there are different sessions, to cater all of them. But there is one thing, when we are all together for a general session, The energy in that room is absolutely incredible. Uh, you have to be there in order to experience what I am telling you. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's off the charts. And so when you're there, you are so motivated. I mean, you are indeed 100% motivated and upbeat, and there's nothing impossible that you can do. Uh, the beliefs that you have are all positive. The beliefs that you have while you are in that environment are there's nothing that you cannot do. Now, the reality is that what happens when the event is finished and you go back to your place and then you begin living your day-to-day life, and there's not that energy around you, and there's not that support system around you that keeps you and holds you at that high energy level, then what happens then? For most people, I guess the motivation begins to diminish, and the motivation reaches a point that is no longer there to be found. And so what happens is that we let external things really motivate us. And for most people, motivation comes from the outside in. Whether that would be going to an event, whether that would be watching a motivational talk, whether that would be being in a group that is perhaps in a mastermind group that is a high energy where everybody shares their ideas and there's feedback going back and forth, and then you get motivated, but that motivation is coming from the outside in. And when that happens, then we get into a temporary state of high motivation. There's a book that John Maxwell wrote, I mean, a classic book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I mean, it's a great book for beginning a journey in personal growth. And one of the laws is the law of consistency. The law of consistency. And what the law of consistency states is that motivation gets you going. Motivation gets you going. Motivation gets you up the couch into beginning to do something that you want to do. So motivation gets you in the right direction, in the right path. But that's not enough. The law keeps saying, motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. And that is a very important distinction, because although motivation is required, and we need to be motivated, but motivation alone will not do the work that we need to do consistently in order to reach and achieve the results that we want to achieve. So when we combined motivation as the first step to get us going, and we combined that and we coupled that with discipline to keep us growing along that journey, then eventually we will reach, and we keep that discipline going, then we will reach the goals and the dreams that we want to achieve in our lives. So that is the law of consistency. We have to be consistent, and we have to do consistently day after day after day. And that's why the developing habits, and that's why replacing bad habits with new habits that are going to get us going in the right direction in our lives is very important. I mean, it's paramount. Now, I wanted to share something that I was reading. I mean, yesterday, an article on motivation, and the article says, I mean, think for a moment of all the successful people that you know. Just stop and think for a moment of all the successful people that you know. What do they have in common? Do they have in common? Well, they may be, they may have wealth. I mean, they could be the smartest. But those elements are not what makes them, what unites them in a sense. But it says the common denominator of all successful people is the hunger to push through their fears. The common denominator, the one thing that runs across all successful people, is the hunger to push through their fears. The hunger to push through their limiting beliefs, in a sense, through their fears, whatever you are fearful about. Successful people, they push through those fears, and they break, they tear down what Paul Martinelli says it is the terror barrier. There is a terror barrier that keeps us without moving forward, that keeps us stuck. And in order to make progress, in order to break free from that, you have to tear down that terror barrier. And that is a barrier that consists of all those fears and all those limiting beliefs. And in order to do that, we cannot rely on external motivation to motivate us to do that. I mean, to break through that barrier. But the motivation has to be born internally, from inside us. So for most people, I said motivation comes from the outside in, but the secret is that we need to be self-motivated, and motivation has to flow from the inside out. We have to experience that motivation inside of us, internally, and then let it flow out to the outside. Now it says the strength to learn how to self-motivate all comes down to your own psychology. First, you have to clearly know what it is that you want. And then, let's say, why do you want that relationship with another person? What is behind? What is the real purpose for it? Why do you want to change your job? What is the real purpose? What is it that you really want? And once that is very clear in your mind, then you will begin to get yourself in that state of self-motivation to be able to pursue the thing that you want to do. Now, very briefly, I just want to give you some self-motivation techniques for reaching your personal goals and dreams. And the first one is to create empowering beliefs. Most people, they live their lives with limiting beliefs, beliefs that limit them to achieve great things. And what I'm suggesting is that in order to keep feeding those limiting beliefs, we should start having and feeding empowering beliefs. You see, we have to understand that the only limitations in our lives are the ones that we create ourselves and that we put into our lives ourselves. Those limiting beliefs do not come from someone externally, but those are the ones that we create ourselves. And instead of creating more of limiting beliefs, we need to start creating empowering beliefs. I mean, beliefs that tells us who you are. I mean, really, look inside of you and look at your potential. Look at your capabilities, your skills, your abilities. And based on those, create empowering beliefs. And then keep feeding those empowering beliefs. And those are going to help you to be consistently more self-motivated. Create a massive action plan. Do you have an action plan? I mean, do you know what you want to be working on? What is the next project that you want to be involved with? So create that and begin developing that plan, but do not be attached to the plan. Be flexible. Adjust yourself to the plan. Be like water, like very, very flexible to change the plan if the plan needs to be changed, to adjust the plan, to modify the plan. As you are working the plan, don't Don't have a rigid plan, but be flexible to it. Look to the success of others. Uh, don't copy others' successes, but look to them and see what they've done and how they were motivated to do what they wanted to do, and imitate their self-motivation, imitate their beliefs, what types of beliefs they had, what kinds of things push them through the difficulties and the obstacles that they had to overcome. You know, one of the things, as I'm sharing this with you, one thing that came into my awareness is something that I heard Robin Sharma said, and it's, if you want to achieve what the level of success that only 5% of the population has, you have to be able to do what 95% of the population is not prepared to do. If you want to reach the top of your of your industry, the top of your field, you have to be able to do what 95% of the people in that field are not prepared to do. You have to get up early in the morning and start the day early. You have to push hard. You have to have empowering beliefs. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. And why is that? It's because you can do it. Les Brown says, there's greatness within you. And I'm going to piggyback on that, and I'm going to say, yes, indeed, there is greatness in all of us. Are we exercising and displaying and doing according to that greatness that we have? And I'm just going to leave you and share with you this last bit, and it says, self-motivation is challenging because it comes from you, as opposed to coming to you. Self-motivation is challenging because it comes from you. You can rely on external factors and friends for motivation, but at the end of the day, you are the one who has to put in the work. You are the one, we are the one who have to do the work. By learning early how to self-motivate and stay on track, you'll ultimately experience greater successes much sooner. So, my encouragement to all of you is, don't wait for external things to come to you to motivate you. Begin exercising every day. As you're waking up in the morning, be thankful and be grateful for another day, for another opportunity, and begin to look inside of you. Look at the things that you already have. Look at the life that you have. Look at that gift of life that you have. And begin self-motivate you to do even more today, to have an even greater impact today than you did yesterday, than you did last week. And as you keep exercising that self-motivating engine that you have, is going to become a habit in you, and you will never again rely on the environment or external things to get you going, because that get you going will be something that is generated inside of you, and it will manifest outside of you. Remember then that motivation will get you going, but discipline, consistent discipline, day after day after day, will keep you growing. Thank you very much, for being with me in coffee, ideas, and connecting with Alejandro. Have a great rest of the day. And let me just end by reminding you to be kind, to be passionate, to be well.